Making wheeler dealers is no easy task, and every episode requires a massive effort from a dedicated team of people. We started all those years ago on a niche channel in the UK. For years, Discovery has encouraged everyone to make the world a bigger place, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. And then, of course, you had to serve the ice cream before and after the event. And this was really another of the problems. He was the silent genius with dirty hands and an imposing presence in the office. Edd Chiner, the man who turned dealers into a reference point for automotive television. For over a decade, he showed us how to repair the irreparable, restore the forgotten, and believe that even the most rusty classics deserved a second chance. But in 2017, he disappeared from the series without warning. No goodbye episode, no explanation from the network, only a cryptic video and a storm of voices. The fans were stunned. Why did Edd really go away? Was it a simple creative break? Or something darker under the surface? In this in-depth analysis, we discover the unpublished story of Edd China, his rise as an eccentric inventor to a global icon, the secret conflicts that divided dealers, the private fights he never talked about, and the brave reinvention that proved that he did not need a network to prosper. From engineering prodigy to rebel mechanic, this is the truth you have never heard. And once you have heard it, you will never see it again in the same way. Before diving into the video, make sure to click on the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Now let's get to the heart of the video. Before becoming a family name for car enthusiasts around the world, Edd China was just a curious boy from London with a talent for disassembling things and, above all, Raymond Harley. Born on May 9, 1971, Edward John Sheiner has always been distinguished. Not only because he would have gotten over 2 meters, but because his brain worked in ways that most people could not understand. Engineering was not just a career. It was his language. He saw the world through gears, circuits, and mechanical puzzles waiting to be solved. Edd cultivated this passion at London South Bank University, where he studied engineering design of products. It was here that his creativity really began to bloom, and one project would have changed his life forever. As a student, he built the Casual Loafer, a motorized sofa approved for the road. Yes, a sofa that could be driven on the road. He was crazy, impractical, and downright brilliant. His invention landed him on British TV shows like Top Gear, The Big Breakfast, and Scrap Heap Challenge. Viewers were immediately drawn to the tall, soft-spoken inventor, gifted with a quirky sense of humor and a boundless imagination. His first appearances made one thing clear. Edd wasn't just an inventor or a mechanic. He was an entertainer with a deep passion for making the impossible real. Unlike many presenters, he wasn't trying to sell a gimmick. He was the gimmick. His creations, like the world's fastest motorized toilet and a maneuverable office desk, have earned him numerous Guinness World Records and a cult following. But beneath his eccentric charm lay the heart of an engineer and a deep desire to teach. While other auto shows glorified speed and spectacle, Edd wanted to slow down. He wanted to explain how cars worked, demystify the intimidating world of engines, as transmissions and suspensions. That rare combination of spectacle and substance made him perfect for something much bigger than motorized sofas. That something would arrive in 2003 and change his life and his car television forever. In 2003, Wheeler Dealers debuted on British television, offering something refreshingly different. A car show that didn't focus on spectacular stunts or high-speed races. It was about the journey of transformation, taking tired, worn-out vehicles and transforming them into automotive gems. And at the center of this transformation was a new on-screen duo. Mike Brewer, a fast-talking, streetwise dealer, and Edd China, the soft-spoken, ultra-technical mechanic. Mike hunted for hidden treasures, cars with potential but usually in terrible condition, then negotiated the best price. Once the deal was done, the scene shifted to Edd, who rolled up his sleeves and dove under the hood. He didn't just fix cars. He also explained how he did it, whether rebuilding an engine, redoing an electrical system, or tuning carburetors. And he explained everything with a clarity that won over both amateurs and experienced mechanics. His workspace was always a bit messy, his hands always greasy. But that was the magic. Viewers felt as if they were in the workshop with him. No script readings, no over-the-top drama, just a raw and genuine restoration. Fans immediately became attached to the authentic tone of the series. While Mike brought personality and strong negotiating skills, Edd balanced the show with calm, expertise, and meticulous attention to detail. The chemistry between the two hosts was undeniable. It wasn't always an easy ride. There were creative differences, differing priorities, and the occasional sarcastic quip, but their contrast was what made the show memorable. Mike represented the commercial side of car culture, Edd the soul, and together they took viewers on a journey as educational as it was entertaining. As the seasons progressed, the cars became more complex, and so did the audience. What began as a niche event in the UK quietly grew into a global success. But behind the scenes, that success came with pressure. More episodes, bigger budgets, and finally a change that would take them overseas and change everything. By 2013, Wheeler Dealers had achieved something few British car shows had achieved: international success. The manufacturers decided to go one step further, moving production of the show to the United States. Sulla Carta was a dream come true. America offered a huge market, a rich automotive culture, and endless restoration opportunities. The cars were different, the stakes were higher, and the growth potential was enormous. For Edd, it was an exciting and stimulating experience. He was no stranger to mechanical complexity, but adapting to a new production style in a new country required compromises. Filming schedules tightened, network expectations increased. What had once been a relaxed, thorough approach to repairs slowly began to shift toward a more frenetic, entertainment-focused format. Fans noticed. Repair sequences became shorter. Technical depth was sometimes neglected in favor of quicker edits and more spectacular commercial shots. Some episodes, Edd later admitted, featured behind-the-scenes work that never made it to air. Not out of secrecy, but simply because there was no time. The changes, though initially subtle, began to wear on Edd. Viewers continued to praise his skill, but behind the scenes, creative tensions were growing. Edd was pushing for more educational content. The network wanted faster turnaround times. It wasn't just about making TV anymore. It was about expanding it. As production increased, the team was tasked with producing more episodes per season. With little room for Edd's insights, which involved complex repairs, it wasn't just about passion anymore. It was about production deadlines, advertiser demands, and market metrics, and he began to feel like the heart of the show was being amputated for a mass audience. Nevertheless, he tried to adapt, but the show he had helped build from the ground up was evolving into something unusual. In 2017, Edd China dropped a bombshell on YouTube. He was leaving Wheeler Dealers. No formal farewell from the network, no farewell episode, just a calm, honest video titled Wheeler Dealers. He spoke calmly, but his disappointment was evident. He wasn't just leaving a job, he was leaving a legacy. The fans were stunned. Some cried, others were furious. The reaction was immediate and fierce. Social media has been ablaze with anger toward Motor Trend, the producers, and even Mike Brewer. Mike, for his part, expressed sadness over Edd's decision and frustration over the consequences. But things quickly escalated. Mike revealed that he and his family had received death threats. Some fans blamed him entirely for Edd's exit. Her daughter was targeted online. She had to call the police. What was once a beloved car repair program had turned into a catalyst for controversy. And at the center of it all was a man who just wanted to keep doing things right. The partnership that had defined a generation of car TV shows was over, and he was out. Wheeler Dealers, for better or worse, would never be the same again. Edd China's departure from Wheeler Dealers didn't just shake the industry. It unleashed a firestorm in the car enthusiast world. The fanbase, long united by their love of classic restorations and Edd's methodical explanations, was suddenly divided. Some blamed the internet, others blamed Mike Brewer, but almost no one blamed Edd. Social media became a battleground. Fans vented their frustration on forums, YouTube comments sections, and Twitter threads. For many, it wasn't just a mechanic leaving a TV series. It was as if the show's soul had been torn out and was trying to stay out of the chaos. His farewell video wasn't bitter. It was clear, polite, and respectful, but the damage was done. What no one expected, however, was how dark the reaction would become. Mike Brewer, who for years had been the face of the Wheeler Dealers alongside Edd, soon found himself in a personal nightmare. In interviews with The Sun and Drive Tribe, Mike revealed that he and his family had been bombarded with insults. Online hatred transformed into real-world fear. Fans who once idolized the series now attacked those behind it. The emotional connection was so deep that many felt betrayed. The show that had taught people how to fix cars, that had inspired mechanics around the world, had now become a warning about the dangers of change and the cult of personality. But even amid the chaos, one truth became increasingly clear. Edd China hadn't simply abandoned a program. He'd left a statement, a refusal to compromise on quality, a refusal to impoverish the craft. And for those who believed in what the Wheeler Dealers once stood for, his decision seemed more heroic than controversial. Although Edd China always appeared as the calm and composed engineer with a kind heart and a quick wit, there are chapters of his story that have remained largely hidden. For years, he kept much of his private life away from the public eye. But behind the calm facade, cracks quietly emerged. Close friends and former colleagues hinted that the stress accumulated on the Wheeler Dealers had been building for longer than most fans realized. The increasingly grueling production schedules, frequent travel, and mounting pressure from network executives slowly wore Edd down. According to some sources, he frequently clashed with producers off-screen, demanding more time to accurately demonstrate complex repairs, time that the series' increasingly limited budget didn't allow. Privately, Edd also struggled with moments of anxiety and frustration. Sources close to him suggest that the discrepancy between his on-screen persona and the reality behind the scenes had a negative impact. Rumors swirled of late-night meltdowns, of heated creative meetings from which Edd would emerge wondering if it was worth it. His departure wasn't just a reaction to the changes the network had made, but the result of years of internal conflict. The man who had built a fan base based on authenticity was silently pressured to betray that very principle, and that broke something in him. Plus, there were rumors of failed business ventures. One of those rumors involved a startup Edd briefly invested in, an alternative energy company that never made it past the prototype stage. Some say he lost a significant amount of money, while others argue it was a learning experience that fueled his subsequent move to self-producing content. But perhaps the darkest truth is one he only hinted at: the profound loneliness that followed his retirement. While fans mourned the loss of the show, Edd was dealing with the abrupt end of a decade-long chapter, one of long hours, hard work, and a bond with a co-host that had now dissolved into silence. After the dust settled, Edd China did something he'd never been able to do under the control of a network. He built his own platform. In 2021, he launched Edd China's Workshop Diaries on YouTube, a series that marked a return to what fans loved most: pure mechanics, thoughtful storytelling, and technical insights. Gone were the glossy edits, forced timing, and artificial deadlines. In their place were long episodes in which Edd worked at his own pace, often on unusual and challenging vehicles, from electric conversions to the most bizarre engineering experiments. Each episode delivered a direct message to his loyal audience. I'm still here, and I do it my way. The Workshop Diaries didn't explode with viral numbers overnight, but that wasn't the point. The show was intimate, personal, and built on trust. For fans who had followed Edd since the early days of Wheeler Dealers, it was a welcome homecoming. He interacted directly with viewers, shared insights never seen on TV, and rekindled the educational spirit that had made him famous. Perhaps most importantly, the Workshop Diaries gave Edd peace of mind. No more producers, no more compromises, just him, his tools, and the camera. It was a passion project, but also a quiet revolution in an era where content is often produced for clicks. He also began attending more fan events, car festivals, and tech forums. Slowly, Edd re-established his place in the automotive world, not as a former television star, but as a craftsman who had abandoned fame to preserve his integrity. In a world where it's easy to sell out, Edd China stood firm, and that, in the eyes of many, made him more legendary than ever. While Edd China found a new rhythm with Workshop Diaries, Mike Brewer was on a different path, marked by public pressure, co-host changes, and the heavy shadow of his former partner's legacy. Despite the negative reaction, Wheeler Dealers didn't end with Edd's departure. In fact, the show continued with a new mechanic, Ant Anstead. A former police officer turned car builder, Ant put his skills to good use. Charismatic, fast, and competent, he quickly found his groove with Mike. But for many fans, the connection wasn't the same. The warmth, the calm conversation, the thorough diagnostics, everything seemed to be missing. While Edd had taken the time to explain every bolt and gasket, Ant's repairs were quicker, edited for a faster pace. Mike defended the program's direction, emphasizing that the automotive world and television itself were changing. "We have to evolve," he said in interviews. "We have to keep up with the times." But even he admitted that the original magic couldn't be fully replicated. "What I had with Edd was unique," Mike told Drive Tribe. "It doesn't happen every day." The show later introduced Mark Elvis Priestley, a former Formula One mechanic, in an attempt to regain some of that old balance. Elvis brought a precision and calm energy reminiscent of Edd's, but comparisons were inevitable. No matter how talented the replacements were, the original format had set a standard that fans would never forget. For Mike, the weight of public scrutiny wasn't easy to overcome. Despite his success, Edd's shadow loomed over every comment and nostalgic fan post. While he never publicly lashed out at him, those close to the situation say Mike was deeply hurt by the negative fan reactions. She had dedicated years of her life to the show, but the departure of one man nearly destroyed everything. Yet she continued to push forward. Car shows, business ventures, charity auctions. Mike remained a public figure, but the bond he had with Edd China, once the cornerstone of a global franchise, was never restored, and perhaps never will be. The question that haunts Wheeler Dealers fans more than any other is, will Edd China and Mike Brewer ever work together again? The truth is, no one knows for sure. Publicly, both have maintained a respectful distance. Neither spoke badly of the other. and neither ruled out the possibility of a reunion. But their silence speaks volumes. It's the kind of silence that suggests wounds deeper than what fans saw on screen. Rumors have circulated over the years, some wild, some credible, about attempts at reconciliation behind the scenes. Some suggest that the producers have floated the idea of a special episode featuring the original duo. Others argue that both men turned down the opportunity because the timing or the pain wasn't right. Fans have been begging for it to happen. Reddit threads, YouTube petitions, and social media campaigns have been sparking calls. But whenever the topic comes up in interviews, the answers are vague. Edd once said, "I'll never say never, but now I'm happy doing my own thing." Mike echoed something similar, saying, "The door is always open," but we've both moved on. At the heart of it all is much more than just professional friction. What many forget is that Mike and Edd were friends. The kind of friends who built a television empire together, traveled the world, and shared countless nights in greasy garages. When Edd left, it wasn't just a co-host leaving the set. It was a friend walking out the door. Whether that friendship can ever be repaired is a mystery, but one thing remains certain. The legacy they built together, imperfect, beloved, complicated, will forever bind them in the eyes of their fans. Edd China didn't simply walk away from a successful show. He backed out of a system. In an era where success is often measured by viral clips and sponsorship deals, Edd chose the path less traveled. He chose craftsmanship over commercialism, integrity over opportunism, and in doing so, he created something rare: trust. Wheeler dealerships are still in business, but for many they survive as a reminder of their golden years. When a tall, soft-spoken mechanic took the time to teach, not just entertain, Edd's legacy is etched in the culture of DIY mechanics, YouTube tutorials, and garage hobbyists. The countless viewers who've learned to change brake pads, repair carburetors, or finally fix that stubborn oil leak owe part of their knowledge to Edd China. Today, Workshop Diaries continues to grow, not through hype, but with passion. Edd doesn't chase ratings, he chases results. His episodes feel like conversations, not productions. His approach is personal, detailed, and above all, real. Behind the camera, he remains discreet. No tabloid scandals, no viral controversies. Just a man who loves cars and respects the people who share that love. And this quiet authenticity is what continues to attract fans, year after year. Edd China's story isn't just about cars. It's about persevering when compromise seems easy. It's about abandoning comfort to protect what you believe in. And for anyone who's ever chosen passion over popularity or substance over spectacle, Edd China remains more than a mechanic. He's a symbol of what it means to stay true, no matter the cost.